come true. How long did it take for Kazakhstanis to build a new capital city? Why did Kazakhstan change its capital city, and what was the residents' response? The day of the capital city is one of the favorite holidays in Kazakhstan's calendar. More on the holiday in the next program of important dates only on Kazakh TV.
Это мой радужный город.
This is my rainbow city. I drew Baiterik here. These are office buildings, houses, and this is Expo, this is Shabit, and this is our concert hall.
Концертный зал.
Almost the entire palette is in one work. Janerke Bakhit Betkizi, a schoolgirl in the capital, sees her beloved city as bright and memorable. In her spare time, she reads a lot, visits local attractions, and draws everything she likes on canvas. Her drawings have decorated the gallery of the Palace of School Children for a long time. One of the recent art exhibitions is dedicated to the day of the capital city.
Когда дети рисуют город,
we learn a lot from the drawings of the city painted by children. The drawings are very interesting, and most of the time it's the things that we adults don't see ourselves. The children see brightness, beauty, and peace. Children who paint are very creative. There are many different artworks presented at the event. Some pictures were drawn abstractly, some seemed realistic. But even the most inexperienced art viewer understands that there are no indifferent people.
Естественно, самый маленький дети рисует первый байтерек.
Naturally, the youngest children start drawing with the image of Baiterik. There are so many attractions in our city. Just take a boat ride at the embankment and you'll see the many attractions in our city. Dancing fountains. Parks are open, which is good for children. The older children draw detailed images, mixing the past and the future. From the drawings, you could see that they wonder what will happen next.
Прошлое с будущим. Им интересно все, что же будет дальше. Смотрите, сделали ему фон. А теперь рисуем наш воздушный шарик.
Look, we've drawn the background. So now let's draw the balloon. Make it semicircular. The basket for the balloon can be painted in a different color. You can paint it red and you green.
Ну, можно красного, можно зеленого.
Halima Zakirova shows the children how masterpieces are created. For her, the main principle is to start with something simple before moving on to more complex arts. The process needs to be step by step, just like when the capital city was created, almost from scratch.
Я в Астану приехала, это в 2010 году.
I moved to Astana at the age of 10. I have my children here and our future is in Astana. This is a young city that attracted the whole of Kazakhstan to move here, not only me. Astana was under construction then, but I really wanted to move here. When I saw the construction of Baiterik on TV, I told myself, I will live there. That was my dream.
Видела по телевизору, я буду там жить. Вот такая вот была мечта.
In a short time, the young capital city becomes a center of attraction for thousands of Kazakhstanis. They believed that they could build their lives in the city of dreams. But not long ago, the idea of creating a new capital seemed utopian for the first president Nursultan Nazarbayev, says the direct initiator of the city transfer. The idea to move the capital to a new city was voiced during the most dramatic moment of the formation of the independent state. The announcement of the transfer of capital in parliament in 1994 was equivalent to a bomb explosion. People thought that I was out of my mind. At that time, we don't pay pensions, we don't pay salaries to teachers, doctors. And now we're asked to move the capital to a new city. It costs us billions. But every leader must have a certain height to conquer and a dream to do something unforgettable, even if it means putting one's credibility on the line to achieve the main goal. Based on the first president's proposal, the new capital will not become just a capital city, but a platform of rapid economic activity in the heart of Eurasia.
Вообще впервые идея о переносе столицы из Алматы в другой город Казахстана, она была озвучена первым президентом на заседании Верховного Совета в июле.
The idea of transferring the capital city from Almaty to another city in Kazakhstan was voiced for the first time by the first president at the Supreme Council meeting in 1994. At that time, it was known as the Supreme Council of the Republic of Kazakhstan. Of course, the idea is not wholly supported by everyone. Some people who were against the first president said that the idea is completely unacceptable and untimely and to some extent adventurous. The first half of the 1990s, as you know, was a challenging time for us. We're faced with an economic crisis and the country is going through a difficult period. There weren't enough funds and the transfer of the capital would need a lot of investments and funds. That's why most people didn't accept this idea.
Вложения, средства, поэтому естественно, что эта идея изначально она не была воспринята всеми на ура.
The first president explained that Almaty no longer meets the requirements of the capital of a modern state, either in terms of economy or geopolitical conditions. With the population reaching 1.5 million, the metropolis became unpromising due to its territorial development. The previous capital city was supposed to grow, but there's no space for growth. The big city is very cramped. Meanwhile, the northern region looks promising as it is less populated. The migration of people could be moved here. Also, the region's proximity to large industrial centers is an added advantage. Nursultan Nazarbayev ordered the administration to thoroughly study the entire territory of the republic to determine the optimal location of the future capital. Several cities were considered as the new capital.
На роль столицы претендовали несколько городов Казахстана, да? Вот, кроме Акмолы, это были такие города, как Кокшетау, как Кыргызстан, Караганда, и каждый из них, как бы, в общем-то, имел свои причины на то, чтобы претендовать.
Several cities were considered as the new capital of Kazakhstan. These were Akmola, Kokshetau, Zhezkazgan and Karaganda. Each of these cities has the advantages of being the new capital. But the choice of the city was determined by 32 criteria based on what the first president wrote in his book, The Heart of Eurasia. The first criteria are the socio-economic development of the future capital. All possibilities of socio-economic growth were thoroughly studied. The climate also played an important role. The landscape, the seismic conditions in which the future capital of Kazakhstan will develop were taken into account. The criteria also included the availability and prospects for the development of the city and the construction of engineering and transport infrastructure. Because there must be a maximum level of comfort and maximum level of transport and engineering infrastructure in any capital cities. Akmola was the most preferred option due to its geography as well as its location to important economic regions and the intersection of major transport highways. At that time, its population was about 200,000 and it has all the requirements to become a new capital city.
Ну, конечно же, учитывался и строительный комплекс.
The construction complex was also taken into account. During the years of the development of virgin and arable lands in the 1950s to 1960s, the capital city was built with the idea that it will become the administrative center of virgin land. In the 1960s, many communications infrastructure were built in the city as well as power plants to support the livelihoods such as thermal power plants. The city's cleaning system was also put in place. Well-developed transport infrastructure was built in the new capital. In theory, it was naturally assumed that all the infrastructure will be built in the future.
Была создана для тех времен достаточно такая развитая транспортная коммуникация. И это, конечно же, учитывалось, когда переносилась столица. Понимаете, потому что столица, когда переехала, на первое время надо было, конечно, обеспечить ее. В перспективе, естественно, все подразумевалось, что все будет построено.
Skeptics predicted that the investments to build a new capital will not be recovered and the transfer of the capital is a waste of money. But the first president was adamant with his decision. Only the cost of moving will not be recovered, but the rest is an investment in the future of the state. In time, the new capital will increase the national wealth. The members of parliament had little faith in the vision. With a very small voting margin on my birthday as a gift, the members of parliament voted in favor of the idea. They said it'll be in 40 to 50 years. By that time, we will not be there. Today is his birthday, so let's not upset him and vote. That's how they voted. 3 years later, by the decree of the first president, Akmola became the capital of Kazakhstan and it sets the standards of the state symbols. 6 months later, the city was renamed Astana and appeared on the world map. The young capital quickly gained international recognition. In July 1999, the city was awarded the UNESCO prize and became the best city in the world. 20 years later, Astana was renamed Nur-Sultan by the decree of President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev. On July 6, every year, Kazakhstan celebrates the Day of the Capital City.
Так, река Или, который впадает в Балхаш. К 20-летнему юбилею столицы
For the 20th anniversary of the capital, the Almaty region presented us the Jetisu Park. Previously, there was Arai Park, which was opened in 2007. The trees have already grown there. In 2018, the city received this park as an anniversary gift. I think it's the most beautiful park for children. Do you agree with me? The philosophy of Baitarik, the significance of the pyramid in the architectural complex of the city are the gifts presented by different regions of Kazakhstan. Every year, Barshagul Idrisova conducts many excursions for tourists. She tells them about the new architect masterpieces and introduces the history of one of the youngest capital cities in the world.
Сейчас мы поедем на ботанический сад. Там у нас подарок Восточного Казахстана.
Now we'll go to the botanical garden. It's a gift we received from East Kazakhstan. There are fountains at the park, as well as the Ulitau Alley and a monument of gratitude to the Kazakh land. From there, we'll go to an open-air museum of a rocket and space complex, a gift from the Kizilorda region.
Небом, можно сказать, ракетно-космический комплекс.
Often among the guests, the experienced tour guide meets local residents who are interested to learn the history of their city.
Экскурсии трехчасовые есть. Но
The excursion takes about 3 hours. 2 hours is a very short time, so it's 3 hours mostly. If we visit all the local attractions, museums and palaces, then it'll take a whole day.
Вот сейчас у нас 2021 год, и волей-неволей мы вспоминаем, что было 10, 20, 30 лет назад.
Now it's 2021. We remember that 10, 20, 30 years ago, in 1999, we started a travel agency, and we see foreigners in the city. We had to bring them around the city and entertain them. It was hard back then because there weren't many things to show, and there weren't any Kazakh souvenirs available. There were no hotels to accommodate them, only a few. In 1997, the government announced the transfer of the capital, and we've seen the rapid growth of the city in a short time. We were excited at every step of the development.
Рост, он был весь у нас на глазах. Вот, мы радовались каждому шагу.
The new capital presents new opportunities. Tatyana Kazantseva recalls how people discovered certain areas for their career growth and how others became masters of their niche. The people were guided by the principles of bravery. We tell ourselves, don't be afraid, she says. New ideas were embraced with open minds. Yes, the economic activities have increased. There are many foreign citizens here. Just look at the development in the last 23 years and today, so much has happened. Kazakhstan and its capital city have garnered great interest from the world. Look at the business activities. How many exhibitions and international exhibitions are held here? How many foreign guests visited us, and we serve them all. We show them the city, we meet them, entertain them, and show them our beautiful city. Our excursions covers everything in the city, from theatrical, musical, and architectural tours. There are thematic excursions as well. The first thing we look at before planning the tour is the need of our tourists. If foreigners, whether from a neighboring country or far abroad, come to the capital for the first time or to Kazakhstan for the first time, then we adjust our excursions accordingly based on their interests. We also take into account their occupation, whether they are entrepreneurs, politicians, students, or youth. We've had motorcyclists who rode from Europe, from Russia to our country. We met them and they had a lot of questions for us. They were interested in our country. So you see, the tourists are different.
Из Европы, да, с России к нам вот заехали, и очень много у них вопросов возникало. Они так интересовались, такие живые, все. То есть, вот понимаете, да, что люди очень-очень разные.
For Rustem Seyitbekov, the move to the capital was a wise decision. The teacher and tutor of the Astana Opera Ballet Troupe and honored worker of culture recalled the events of 20 years ago. He was only 16 when he first stepped onto the platform of the capital's railway station.
Началось с того, что да, я учился на втором курсе в Алматинском хореографическом училище имени Александра Васильевича Селезнева.
It all started when I was a second-year student at the Almaty Choreographic School named after Alexander Vasilyevich Selesnev. A theater named after Kulyash Baisitova opened in the young capital Astana and they needed a troupe. The Almaty school was only in Almaty. At first, the creation of the troupe was offered to third-year students, but there were only 5 to 6 boys. It was not enough to create a full-fledged troupe, so the offer was extended to the second-year students.
Буквально там 5-6 мальчиков было. Конечно же, это не хватало для того, чтобы создать полноценную труппу. И предложили второму курсу поехать на открытие театра.
The city greeted its new residents with frost. The theater is not far from the train station, but the hostel is located on the other side of the city.
Конечно, холодно, но непривычно поначалу, привыкали очень долго. Многие не выдержали, уехали. И от нас осталось совсем буквально человек 5, наверное, 5-6 из тех, кто вот первооткрыватель, основоположников с 2000 года.
Of course it was cold. It was strange at first. We took a long time to get used to it. Many people couldn't stand it and left. There were 5 of us left, I think, about 5 to 6 people. Among them are the pioneers founders since 2000. For us, we're excited about the new building. I remember that it is the former Palace of Culture of railway workers. The building was restored and converted into a theater. We didn't have any luxury conditions. The stage was very small and the hall was designed for 360 seats. In addition to this building, a separate building was built especially for us. The choir artists did their practice on the first floor, while the second floor was for ballet dancers. We got used to the new city and adapted to it. We felt the difference immediately. You can imagine a very young 16-year-old coming from the south to the north. A 16-year-old who used to be with his parents all his life and then had to be independent in a cold city. Tude Hostel. If you know the distance from Strichaya to the Kulyash Baisitova theater near the train station, sometimes we had to walk from our hostel to the theater because we didn't want to spend our salary, which at that time was 8,000 tenge.
Если вы знаете расстояние со встречи до театра Куляш Байсеитова возле вокзала, иногда приходилось пешком ходить, потому что мы не распределяли зарплату нашу на тот период 8 тысяч тенге, и были такие моменты.
The most significant events took place before our eyes with the opening of the Baitarik Monument. Rustem Seyitbekov was involved in the main production, which is one of the most important events in the cultural life of the young capital city. Today, connoisseurs can enjoy real art masterpieces from the stage of the Astana Opera Theatre with Rustem in the main troupe.
За вот эти 23 года.
Over these 23 years since 1998, of course, the conditions in the city have changed. Look at our theater. You can see the improvements in terms of conditions in this building. We can work, create, and fully immerse ourselves in art and creativity. It's so amazing. What else could we ask for? We've probably been waiting for this for a long time, since 2000. We've been waiting for such a temple of art to be built, and we're not ashamed of it. Guests and heads of state were immediately surprised and amazed at the grandeur and scale of our theater. The level of our ballet dancers has grown. Astana is like a history for me. International forums and congresses of world leaders. In a short time, the new capital, which started as a national idea, has become a symbol of independence and the global success of a young state. The history of the capital city and the fate of Kazakhstanis are inseparable, bright and prosperous. The city leaves its mark on everyone involved in its development. After all, the most wonderful city is defined as a place where its people are happy.